They're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Now what is you do nothing?
I'll tell you what, bro. I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family, Patreon family? Yes, it's been a while since it felt like we've done a Patreon show, so salute to you guys. It's because of you we were able to go to the press conference for Rungsby Estrada today, or I was able to go. Fu was busy having a life and a job in Texas, I guess. Fucking lame. But anyways, thank you to all our patrons, because, again, without you, none of this is possible. I wouldn't be doing this stuff if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you. Definitely go check out the interview with Eddie Hearn. It's already dropped. The full press conference will be posted. Plus, I do have an Anthony Sims interview I will post as well once I get done with the show or in the morning, depending how tired I am, because I'm pretty exhausted. Obviously, this is trending now, so we will be discussing Game of Thrones, Episode 2, Season 8. Break it down, review it. Hopefully not as long as our last one, because I do want to talk about other things on this show, because we went, almost 2 hours, over 2 hours on the last show, talking about one episode. Like, we went really in depth with that one. Hopefully we can make it a little more concise on this show, even though I know Fu has like 2 pages of notes. Fucking nerd. But anyways, plus Avengers comes out tomorrow. I'll be seeing it tomorrow, so I want to give my last minute preview, thoughts, predictions on who dies, who lives, and how they resolve everything. And plus, I went to the press conference. I know Fu was going to want to ask me stuff. I know I'm going to want to talk about shit, so hopefully we talk about some other things as well. Not only just those 2 things. But anyways, Fu, how are you doing out there in Texas? How's the new job / training going for said job? And how's the family?
Yeah, man, everything's really good. The job is awesome. It's nice to work somewhere where you come home and your life is yours. My last job was not like that. It's like 24/7 at work, But yeah, man, I'm excited to talk to you about the press conference. Definitely excited to get into Game of Thrones. I thought it was a magnificent episode, and I want to talk obviously Avengers Endgame. Stoked.
My blood pressure can't take it. Plus, we have Battle of Winterfell fucking this Sunday. So many of my favorite characters of the last decade will die in the next 3 days. Extremely depressing when you start thinking about it. But digressing from that, more positive note, press conference today. It was fun. For those that don't know my opinions about press conferences and media events, I despise them. It's not because I don't find value in them and the content I'm able to get, but it's because I hate people. And I'm using that. I don't know how else to explain it. I hate interacting with people. And on top of that, boxing media. I was talking to Fu about this before we were on air on the phone call we had while I was on my way home from the presser, stuck in traffic. But boxing media on the whole is pretty asshole-ish. You know, like it's filled with cynical, depressive pricks. Like that's kind of what boxing media is. Well, MMA media, from my experience, from my very limited experience, but still an experience, both a UFC event and a Bellator event through Sharedar.com. That was a fun time with Anthony. It's just a different environment. Like it's more of a community, if that makes sense. Like people talk and communicate, and maybe I'm just more of an outsider / new guy in boxing media predominantly. While And on top of that, if you think about it, when I was with even TBV, that's innately a new outlet, right? Like I was never with a big outlet. I was never with a quote insider media company. I never had that. With MMA, I am like Sherdog is one of the bigger MMA websites. Like I have some opinions about their digital sort of branding on other platforms, but their website's still one of the bigger websites. They were nominated again this year for the MMA awards for outlets, for news outlets. So that shows you that Sherdog is just a different experience. Maybe that is it, but on the whole, boxing media, like I hate interacting with these people. These people tend not to like me. But I will say this: shout out to Cynthia Conte because she's awesome. Literally walked across the patio because we're outside. By the way, hate outside press conferences. Don't do that again, Matchroom, please. I know it looks cool, but they fucking suck. Cynthia walked all the way to me, gave me a hug. Obviously, Fu knows this, but I don't know if everyone knows this because not everyone knows this. I made a Instagram post saying like, "Hey, we got credential. Like this has been a big goal of mine for my own outlet." Blah 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 blah. But Cynthia was somebody that actually commented and said like, "Congrats, guys." So shout out to Cynthia Conte for being like one of the very few people that I've experienced within the boxing media industry that is actually nice. To just use that very general, basic word. Her, Michelle Phelps. Who else? Like, there's not a lot. Maybe Ryan Burton from boxing scene. He's super nice. He's an awesome guy. But there's very few people within exclusive boxing media industry that are actually nice people. And so for those that are, salute to you. Awesome. But it was fun overall. Like I had a fun time, even though I like people that I knew were there. They don't like me, but I made a good time of it, regardless.
I wonder if it has anything to do with like the UFC being more of and MMA in general. Like a lot of that is newer people, anyways, because the sport is not as old maybe as boxing. Where boxing is very old guardish. Like you see it in the boxers, how they treat the younger boxers.
Yes.
I know like a lot of the younger talent will bring up like these guys don't want us to succeed. It's kind of the same in the media. They don't really.
Boxing is 100% like hip hop, where like old heads hate on the young guys. Like that's just how it is. MMA is a little better about that. I think you're absolutely right. Plus, it's just being a new sport. But then again, like I know when I'm at like a media event for MMA, an MMA media event, I should say. There's certain outlets I know that are smaller, and I bet they might get the same vibe from it than maybe I do for boxing. I don't know. Maybe just again trying to be empathetical and trying to put myself outside my own perspective. I think a large part of it is due to the outlet. I'll be honest. Like Anthony's my in, and Sherdog's my in with MMA. It just is, and especially within media circles. Like I couldn't maneuver around certain media members, big time media members, the way I can without Anthony, without Sherdog being attached to me. If I had Ring attached to me, if I had Boxing Scene or LA Times or ESPN, it might be different in boxing. I honestly think like that is a huge factor. I just don't think about. But then again, boxing people on the whole are way more cynical. Like that is just the truth. Like boxing fans, media, fighters, promoters, like we are a cynical sporting culture, like by default, way more so than MMA. MMA, they romanticize everything. It's beautiful over there. It's a land of rainbows and butterflies. Boxing is a fucking hellscape. It's fucking Mad Max
Yeah, and
out here.
shout out, like really, yeah. I mean, even like from Rob and myself, like Rob, who doesn't do like anything with MMA, Anthony still is like very warm to
Oh yeah.
Rob. You know, like constantly like
Foo.
very welcoming.
Foo.
What?
You broke up.
What's up?
You're breaking up. Phil.
I don't know what's going on here.
You're back. I think you're back.
Am I back?
I think you're back. Okay, you said Rob, Anthony, and then
Yeah, I said
you went
I
Mr.
said
Roboto.
just very very welcoming. Anthony and Jason and all those guys at Share Dog have, you know,
Oh yeah.
mainly obviously because of you, but they've always been very welcoming to Rob and myself as well, which I really appreciate. Go vote for them for media outlet of the year or whatever.
Yeah, go do
That's
that.
what they're on there for.
But anyways, let's get to Game of Thrones. I'll probably talk more about the press conference and stuff with Rob, I'm assuming, because you know Rob. He'll be giddy about it. I am going to do something that is a little bit unheard of in MCR history. I am bestowing upon you, Fu, a Mike status. Because you took 2 pages of notes, so you're going to have a far better remembrance than me at this stage in time where my brain's a little bit fried from today. About just the pacing of the episode and which scene came in which order. Let's try not to go as in-depth here, Fu, if we can. But then again, who gives a fuck? So, hey, Mike, you go, man. I'll sit back.
Yeah,
you lead.
So we don't have to go super in depth. Obviously, you know, like we ended the last episode with Jamie riding in on the horse, kind of the brand stare down. And we started.
Time out.
What's up?
The second you said riding on a horse, that fucking song, that Lil Nas song popped in my head. I'm like, no, get out of there, no.
Oh, that's awesome though. That'd be like a great. If we were clever enough or good enough, we could edit that and throw that song in there with Jamie riding into town. That'd be hilarious. So it starts off, you know, Jamie kind of in like a trial, you know, of sorts with Daenerys talking about how when they were growing up, they talked a lot about, you know, what Jamie had done to their father. And then kind of going into like all the things that she wanted to do to the man who did that to her father. And then, you know, from there, kind of you notice
you have Tyrion jump in, and then he get rebuked really quickly by Dany saying like, "You trusted your sister. Why would I trust your opinion about your brother now?
Yeah,
she's not coming now. We know that thanks to Jamie."
That was very telling too, because it's kind of like we've been talking about how far Tyrion has fallen from grace, like how little she trusts really his judgment at this point.
Yes,
and at that point, it's like if Brienne hadn't have stepped up, like what would have happened? You know, because Brienne comes up and says, "Yo, this is an honorable guy. These guys are going to rape me. He lost his hand to save me from that." And then Sansa kind of goes like, "Yeah, well, if Brienne is going to put her life on the line for him, then I'm good," without really asking anyone else, you know, if they were good.
I like that. Yeah, Sansa's
you know,
awesome, man. You know, I'm not really. I don't think it's gonna happen that Sansa ends up on top of it all and she wins the Game of Thrones in a sense, right? That doesn't happen in my view of how the season's being set up and how the show is being set up. Though it is an awesome idea. Like Sansa in control of it all is a really nice concept because she does seem like the most level-headed, the smartest, the most efficient of everyone in that room. At this point in time.
Wonder if like Queen of the North, you know, depending on how shit folds, like
that might happen.
If they give her like the North and say, you know, it's yours. That'd be pretty dope. And she is like the most level-headed, right? That's funny.
Yo, did you?
I can't wait to get to that, Yogi.
Yo,
I can't wait to get to that.
I forget what it was posted, but somebody posted like the Google search trends of like things, and they typed in Maisie Williams' age, and the spike of it.
I was 100% like, there are going to be so many people Googling, is she over 18 years old, basically. And I thought this whole first scene was amazing. Like, I really like how Bran asserted himself. He just, when he was like, the things we do for love, and he just left it there, like, yo.
Well, don't forget, he said something. I'm forgetting it now, but it was I think it was last season. It was Littlefinger. Remember, it was Littlefinger. He said the ladder of chaos.
Yeah,
remember that was the famous Littlefinger quote, right? And he repeated it back to him, right? And that was Littlefinger going, "Oh shit." And he did the same thing to Jamie here. I like that they've, sort of mirrored that scene with Littlefinger. Obviously, different payout because Littlefinger got the fucking knife in the throat. But switching over to Brienne, God, that was awesome. I knew she was going to do it. Like, it was totally predictable, and I don't care. A lot of this episode was 100% predictable. I can argue easily before we jump into anything else that this episode was the most predictable, cookie cutter, quote, Lord of the Rings episode of Game of Thrones history, and I loved every single second of it. But bring it back.
It was like everything you needed. Like we talked about this. Like, it's like sort of any time in a movie, there's like the moment where everyone kind of releases all the tension before the battle, and it's like, this was it. This is what we all wanted, and so, when Brienne steps up and kind of like owns that situation. And then what did you think about as they all left? Like, Jon and Sansa kind of went their way and Dany went like the other opposite way.
I think it was just pretty clear visual telling of the narrative of everyone's not on the same page. Like, that's what it was. Like, it's a pure there's a term for it. Fuck. I smoke way too much weed. Fuck. But anyways, yeah, it's just it's a visual cue of basically that arc without actually saying it, without anyone saying, "Hey, Dany, Jon, and Sansa aren't all on the same page." Instead of anyone saying that, they just show them all going in separate paths, like physically. It's a great visual storytelling sort of move. What's the next scene?
So then the next scene, they go kind of out in the hallway, and it's like Jorah, Varys, and Dany, and she's kind of, and Tyrion, and she's kind of like, she kind of puts him in his place. Like, I made you the hand to help me get on the throne, and you have not done that for me. Like, you've made some really dumb moves, and again, another dumb move that's kept me away. With trust in Cersei.
And then Tyrion made that line, like, after Dany leaves, like, he looks at Varys and Jorah, and is like, one of you is probably going to hold, and I think he pointed, or he even said, like, the hand of the king. Sort of, what's that term? Pin, I guess. And for a second, let's connect it to a scene for sake of time. That scene later on in the episode with Jorah approaching Dany about Tyrion. Because I think that, to me, is the more telling aspect of how that relationship Dany and Tyrion going. I think Jorah is the one that's going to sort of speak reason to Dany. Because, again, I don't think the Mad Queen narrative is actually going to pay off. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's being set up to not happen. It's being set up for all of us to think it's going to happen, and then for that rug to be pulled out, Dany to not be the tyrant we all think she is. Maybe she does still die tragically, but not because she's now a mad tyrant like Cersei. I don't think that happens. I think the Jorah moment with Dany saying, "Hey, look, Tyrion's a great guy. Like, Tyrion's was the right pick for Hand of the King or Hand of the Queen." I forget what else he sort of went on, but I think that scene's pretty telling of the Dany Tyrion riff and how it's going to end up. And there's even the scene later on, the War Room, which we'll get to later, which I think was even an addition to that Jorah and Dany scene.
Yeah, definitely. I think no, I think obviously Jorah, Varys, and Tyrion are aligned in in what they
They're all
want
the
to happen.
they're all the advisors to Danny. It's clear.
Exactly. Yeah. And they want to keep her on the straight and narrow, and there's been a concern that she was falling off, which I think you're right. I think she will come back um into the fold, and then I think die tragically, sadly. When she probably saving John or something along those lines, I feel like it's going to happen. Then we go into what? The Forge, right? Next, Gendry in the Forge. Arya comes in. She wants to know where her weapon is.
Yo, the
Gendry's
foreplay.
like,
The foreplay between them.
yo, it's so much. Like, it was too much. I wrote Gendry in the Forge, sexual tension, big smiley face.
Big smiley face. To take away from that though, because we can be immature all day about the Arya sex scene, which I honestly like. When I was watching it, it didn't bother me. I know some people it didn't bother me just because I'm around her age. I've dated girls that look young like her, and it's kind of normal, I guess. But the scene where she's asking him about the White Walkers, like what do they smell like, how they move, how hard are they to kill, and he goes, they're like death, and then she goes, I know what death's like. He has many faces, is what she's throwing the knives. That scene was awesome. To me, that was a cool scene. I like that someone is finally, maybe not someone, because I think Sansa last season was too, but finally understanding like how useful and resourceful a person like Arya is, and how dangerous she is, and how you can use that, and how much she isn't a little kid. And for Gendry to sort of catch on with that scene was cool. I like how they did that.
Yeah, I thought that was perfectly played because he was trying to treat her like the little, I was trying to remember the first time they met, they were like in cages, right? Like and he felt mad older than her, even though he probably wasn't, but he felt like a man and she was like a kid. And I think he still views her like this, like spoiled little girl who can't fight, but, wants to fight. And so in that moment, you're like, oh, damn, he realizes she's a badass. Like, and it was really cool. It was really cool how they set the tone there for that whole thing.
Absolutely agree. Next scene.
Jaime and Bran in the Weirwood.
I like that. That was a good scene.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. The one thing that struck out to me was Bran's seemingly foreshadowing of Jaime's death. Like, hey, I'm not gonna say that you pushed me out the window because I need you. Like, we need you in this war. We don't know what he needs him for, but we do know that he needs Jaime. On top of that, when Jaime sort of responds, "What about after?" and Bran goes, "Why do you think there's going to be an after?" Jaime's dying, right? Like
or they're all dying. Like maybe Bran's like, yo, I don't even know if we're making it out of this shit. Like I couldn't tell what he meant exactly. If he meant like, who said there'd be an after for me, or who said there'd be an after for you, or who said there'd be an after for any of us.
Well, later on, I think it makes it perfectly clear that Bran needs to survive.
Yeah, he definitely does.
If Bran does not survive, this
humanity's like history is gone.
Yeah, I think the way they set it up is that if Bran dies, humanity loses. Like, we get the long night. The White Walker's able to cross I forget the name of the ocean and get to Essos. Like, that's gonna happen like it used to, or it did before. And I just don't think that happens. So that's why I think Bran's not talking about him. He's talking about Jaime. Like, Jaime, you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about an after for a trial. It's not gonna bother you, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there were other really cool parts of this. Like when he's like, I'm sorry for what I did to you, and Bran's kind of like, nah, that's cool. Like, like I wouldn't be the three-eyed raven now if you hadn't done that, and you'd still be kind of that shitty self that you were, but now, you're this better self, you're this better version of yourself, and I am what I was intended to be.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
so I thought that was a cool moment where you could, like, maybe Jamie is the most understanding that Bran is not, you know, Brandon Stark anymore, you know, where other people I think are still kind of like trying to figure that out, you know. Maybe that, maybe not, but I feel like he kind of grasped onto that a little
Quickly,
bit better.
Yogi saying about the White Walkers, can they cross the ocean? Is it just the Seven Kingdoms at trouble, or is it all of Essos, all of the continent, right, as they say in the lore? From my understanding, when the Long Night first happened, like way back in the Age of Heroes, as they call, where you had the first Bran the Builder that built the wall. That's, you know, that ended the war, right? I want to say they crossed into Essos. Like, that did happen. And, like, the remnants of the people on Westeros were in Dorne, where, like, the sand snakes are and all that. Like, that's where the remnants were. And the people on Essos and the continent, and they eventually fought them back. And that part's not really talked about, but I believe they did cross, or at least the prophecy states that. That they can cross into Essos, and it's gonna be the long night all around the world. Like, that's in essence what it's supposed to be. But I do know when we do have the Game of Thrones prequel series come out in a few years or a couple years, they're gonna cover that period of time. So the Age of Heroes would be the next setting of the Game of Thrones series in the few years when they start doing their sequel series. But digressing from that, Fu.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it will be.
So yeah, I mean, that's really kind of that scene. It was just a real quick scene, and then Tyrion, it kind of goes to Tyrion wandering around the keep, like kind of looking at people. I think really kind of questioning his part in all of this at this point, right? You know, that was weird.
Yo, it's this fan here, which has a light on it, just randomly turns on and off.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's kind of like,
me.
I think, wondering what role he is gonna play now, because I think he's starting to question his own ability, you know, and especially after saying, you know, one of you guys will be the hand, and he runs into Jamie, and Jamie just kind of fills him out on, like, what's Dany like, you know, is she like her dad? And Tyrion tries to, like, calm him down and say, you know, she's way better than her dad. Like, she is the right person to do this. And Jamie's kind of like, is she? Because, you know, he still doesn't trust her, you know. I'm not really sure what he was trying to do there, if he was trying to get Tyrion to kind of.
I think that scene was just for them to talk. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, that was it for the couple lines. Like the I you know, I thought I was gonna die when I was 80 years old with a whore on my bed with the mouth around my cock, right? That line,
Yeah.
which was in the first season, right? Like that in the second episode. I think it just there's some mirroring of the first season in that sort of scene, and also it's just a plot device to get Jamie to look at Brienne and then to get that scene. I think that's really what it was.
Well, he also kind of goes into Tyrion's kind of trying to find a moment where he's like, no, see, I was right. And he's like, what about the baby? Is that at least true? Or am I just a complete idiot? You know? And Jamie's like, yo, that's true. Like,
it's not.
And it's not, you know?
It's not.
I mean,
we don't know, but let's be honest. It's guys are idiots. Those two are the biggest idiots on the show, low key.
And then they're kind of like looking out, and they kind of joke about dying, saving Winterfell. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, you know, Jamie kind of goes to look out and see Brienne, you know, and she's, you know, out there training with oops.
And obviously Brienne, you know, actually Jamie goes and approaches Brienne and asks to serve under her in basically the field and the battle. It was a quick, you know, comment about like Brienne saying like, this is the most she said, talk to me without figure exact
insulting
me. And Brienne obviously doesn't say anything. She doesn't respond with a yes or no. I assume it's going to be yes, though, right?
She kind of nods her head. Like I watched that scene a couple of times, and she does a little nod, like a little bitty nod.
Yo, but come on, like Okay, Fu. If you're asking a girl out, right, and there's silence, and then she goes, "Well, yeah, I have to get over there." You're not getting the date, right?
Well, she was mad uncomfortable because it's like he's a higher station than her.
Of course, but
right. So that's kind of I think what it was is like she looked up to him in terms of like
sold my hilarious metaphor. Fuck you.
sorry. But I don't think that's what it was. But yeah, no, that's true though.
I just think she's awkward.
Go.
I think she's just an awkward person. Like she doesn't know how to socially interact with men in any romantic or slightly romantic way, which is basically what they are. They've like that bath scene way back in season 2 or 3. Like that scene there was definitely romance in that scene. Maybe they're platonic now, but digressing. I think that again, most of this early part of the episode to me was pointless. To be quite honest, I think the best part of the episode was towards the end.
Yes, I got you for sure. Danny and Jorah, and the next scene rolls into what you were talking about. Jorah coming in, talking to Danny, and kind of telling her because Jorah, he doesn't say much, I guess, throughout the whole show, but like he's very perceptive of what is going on.
He talks a lot in other seasons when you don't have 20, 30 major characters all in the same scene together that all need lines,
That's true. But he's literally the most perceptive at this point in the show because he's coming in and saying like, look, like you have to fix things between you and Sansa. And also Tyrion. You're being way too hard on Tyrion. Like you need to cut him some slack. He is definitely better at this than anyone else,
And that leads, I believe, into the Sansa and Danny scene, right?
Yes.
Let's get to that. The tea is on the kettle. I can hear it humming right now. Oh, so good. This scene was perfect because we were so close.
So close.
We were so close to everyone being on the same page. Because let's be honest here. I think if Sansa and Danny were like chummy, I don't think Jon would be as conflicted about his the new information he has about his lineage per se. And vice versa. I think if like whether Sansa was more submissive in her ruling of the North or Danny was more accepting of the North's independence, whichever way you want to view it, however it goes down, if those two finish that conversation in any way other than it ended, I think whatever happens post the Battle of Winterfell doesn't happen. I think something's going to happen. I think they are setting up Sansa and Danny not getting along, and that being a precursor to something. I feel like you can't give us that much screen time, that much foreshadowing for it to not pay off, in my opinion. Especially that part in particular, and how it affects Jon and Danny, and also because let's not forget, switching back to your mention of the three of them leaving the trial of Tyrion. Jon leaves after Sansa, and I think part of it is due to Sansa leaving that way. Jon will listen to Sansa more than Danny. I think that will happen.
Absolutely. I put right here, even after that, I put, maybe this shows that Jon's allegiance is kind of shifting. Like, like also that's a later part, but I want to discuss something with you on when we get to the crypt part. But this part in particular,
the last scene of the episode, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, but I just in my head I was thinking of something that I was listening to someone and I thought, yeah, that's a good point. So the way that they end this scene, it's not even like it's like everything goes smooth, and then as soon as it comes up, like, well, what about the North? We fought to get the North back. We're not going to give it up again. Danny moves her hand off so quick that it's like immediately she's like almost like repulsed by the fact that Sansa's like, you're the queen.
Fu, hold on.
Whatever you want to do.
Fu, very quickly. hang up, get back in the hang.
Oh, fuck.
Just please do it, man. It'll save
Yeah, I
us
got
all
you,
the
bro.
trouble. It'll save us all the trouble because you keep cutting out and it's annoying. I can't take any more, guys. I apologize. Some comments from the chat. Yogi saying Sansa might end Hand of the King. I don't know about that. Like end the title of that. I don't know.
I'm back. How's it feeling?
It looks better.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually better, but fuck it. Anyways, digressing. Yes, and also we'll connect back to that scene when we talk about the crypt scene because I think how she responds to John's revealing of the information is connected to Sansa's defiance and her view of power and her power in particular. So we're touch back on that for sure. But man, when they were getting along, that was cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I will say this: you definitely know that they made fun of Jon Snow, like the actor Kit Harington, because they put that line in there, and that felt just too natural.
About him being short.
Yeah,
Someone taller.
Yeah, they definitely like you can tell they get along, and I felt like it would be nice if the show reflected probably their actual relationship in real life as actors, but
I also think they might gain some kind of mutual respect for each other throughout these like moments because I think that Daenerys is a strong woman. And I don't know that she's going to be super upset with Sansa caring about her people. I think that it's just in these moments, it's really tense. I think if like they make it through everything and they're all there, it'll
happen.
Sort of. It's not going to happen, of course. But I think if it all did, it would be more. There would be a little bit more give and take in that relationship. But right now, it's just a fucked up situation. Like
Anyways, next scene.
So Theon.
Oh God, this is great.
Yo, I got goosebumps at this part for real. Like this was a big part.
Yo, you know what? I'm man enough to admit that there's definitely times I shed a tear in shows and in movies that I shouldn't when I'm just a nerd. Theon and Sansa seeing each other again after a long time, when you know the arc they had under Ramsay Bolton together simultaneously, and how instrumental Theon was to her escaping that. It's awesome. It really is. Because you have to remember, you have to again put yourself in this mindset. They probably think they're dead. Think about that. The last they probably heard about Yara and Theon and their Iron Fleet was that it was destroyed by Euron. Probably that's probably the last information they heard from those people. Yeah. So they probably assumed Theon was dead. And Theon saying like, "I've come to fight for the North. I come to fight for you, Lady Stark." Man, shout out to Reek, man. Just honestly, fucking, what a G, man. I shed a tear. That was awesome. That was great.
That was a very big moment. And I think it also was another moment that cut deep with Dany because they were her people. Like Yara and Theon and the Iron Fleet was hers.
I don't think
so?
I think you misjudged why Dany reacted that way. It's not because of Sansa. It's not because of that battle. It's because, holy shit, I just lost my fleet.
That's what I'm saying.
It has nothing to do with like, oh, Sansa, allegiance, because you said allegiance. You remember that. Like, you use that term.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
Like, there's no different. I don't think she's worried about Theon and Yara now siding with the North over her. I don't think she's worried about that. She's worried, hey, I just lost a chunk of my army. And what little I did have of that army left, you guys have gone off on the other side of our side of the continent, in a sense, to some islands. And we got, 20 of you guys? Cool. That's all you guys could bring? I think that's more of what it is than, oh, Sansa's now hugging him? They're now going to side with her and the Starks over me. I don't think it's that.
Well, it is kind of like piling on because it's like, oh, your sister's not bringing her army? Cool. We're fucked.
Well, it's not.
The Iron Fleet's not here? Great. It's like everything keeps kind of like falling through the cracks. It's like things they were depending on. Yeah, I get you there. Yeah. That's
next,
a good read of it.
Next scene.
Next scene. Let's go. Davos. Soup kitchen style in it. The young warrior, the young just probably farmer comes up and is like, I'm not a warrior.
Did you say lawyer?
Warrior.
I swore you
But-
said lawyer. I'm like, yeah,
Lawyer.
I bet they have lawyers in fucking the north.
No, he's probably like a farmer, right, or something. But he's telling Davos like, I'm not stoked. I don't want to fight.
I have no take on that scene. Like,
Yeah.
there was some fluff in this episode. We have to admit that there was some.
But the
fluff.
little girl, like, you didn't have anything for like the
Yeah, that was sad. Obviously from
Shireen and all that.
Yeah, but like it's sad, but nothing. It didn't have the impact that Theon or obviously the Brienne scene later in the episode had. It just didn't to me. It got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. I just, I'm a Davos stan, so
I like Davos.
I liked it. Yeah,
I did too. There's just not a lot of takeaways to take. Cause come on, Davos is dying next episode.
Then we get to like the really good parts, right? So this is when the scene starts to step up. Like the whole episode starts to kind of get its feet. Ed and Tormund return. John's kind of gone to greet Ed, right?
Yo, did you jump?
Yeah, I jumped. I was
Yo, I can't believe they pulled that jump scene with Tormund jumping out of frame and hugging John. And
I was watching in the studio. I had this shit mad loud. Like, I jumped like crazy.
It was
like,
awesome.
Shit.
It was awesome. That scene of them on the wall later with Ed, Sam, and John, and talking about their friends that have died basically over the years, like that scene too. Like, we've been with these guys since basically season 1, especially those three. Like,
yeah,
Ed, Sam, and John have been together since season 1, and we've seen Tormund since what, season 2?
Yeah. It's toward the mid season 2, right, or something
like that. Yeah.
I loved it because I just love how like real it was. Like, he's like, oh, how'd you guys meet up? And he's like, oh, well, the House Umber's fucked, but then he's like, yo, where's the big woman? Like, just like, he's so serious. Like, we're all gonna die, John. It's it's bad, but where's the big woman?
Let's skip ahead. Let's skip to the war room and their strategy. Let's skip to that. I don't think we're skipping too much, to be honest.
No, I don't think that's the next scene. Honestly, they're in the war room. They're planning, talking about the attack.
So their plan is that since Bran has the mark, that Bran is the one the Night King will go after. That they're gonna put him near the giant fucking red tree, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called.
The Godswood.
Godswood. And they're gonna use him as bait. And Theon volunteers to defend him with obviously saying, "Hey, look, I took this castle from you and burned 2 little kids, pretending they were you. So fuck it, I'm gonna die defending you." And we instantly knew right then and there, Theon is dying.
Theon is dying.
Theon's dead.
He's such a G, bro.
He is dead.
How much of a redemption story? And that's a mad turnaround from I hate this guy.
Yo, he jumped off the boat last season. That was like the last episode we saw him was him jumping off a boat. And this season we've seen him axe a couple people on a boat, save his sister, fucking ride a horse all the way to Winterfell, and now will defend Bran against the Night King and die trying. Go Theon.
Yeah.
Also, John, it's not exactly stated, but it sounds like John and Dany are going to each take a dragon, and they're going to sort of hang around the tree, but not too close. And that's really their secret weapons. They're going to use the dragons on the Night King. And for some reason, and look, I majored in history, and I will say I had a little bit of an expertise on military history. They put most of their army outside those fucking walls. And
yeah, I no idea why.
And I fundamentally don't understand it. Like, is there just not enough room? Because that can't be it. That honestly cannot be it.
Like, even if you don't have enough room, you put all the archers on the wall, you take as many people down as you can as they're trying to come in,
and then on the fucking ground, you have swarms of people too. Fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
it just, from siege history that I know, especially medieval siege history, like when we talk about the 100 Years' War, armies don't often defend a siege with most of their army. And think about it, their best part of their army is probably the Unsullied, right? That part not be behind the wall or on top of the wall. Especially when it does seem like Winterfell is big enough to put at least half that amount of troops inside. So
they didn't defend like King's Landing like that. They were all inside waiting, and then they broke through, after like the one part of the wall got broken down or whatever, and then they came out and fought. But there was nothing like, hey, I know what would be a great idea, guys. Whole army will go outside. Women and children will go down in the crypts. We got this.
Where I know they've been setting this up, and I hope it doesn't come to fruition. I hope it's just been a red herring this whole time. That, hey guys, the crypts are the safest place where it's just dead bodies, and all this guy needs to do is just raise his arm, and dead people come to life and serve him.
Oh shit!
I really, really hope that them obviously setting up that the crypts are the safest place is like a red wedding disaster waiting to happen. Because think about all the characters we love that are going to be there.
I do not want a zombie Ned Stark. I don't.
With no head.
Yeah, I don't want that,
Oh, babe, we could finally get Lady Stoneheart from the book, and it might be like it might be obviously not a true what George R. R. Martin is thinking about Lady Stoneheart, but it would be nice, a little bit of fan service there for those that do like Lady Stoneheart, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Lady Stoneheart in the book. I think it's a useless plot point, but digressing. But think about it, we have most of the army outside the walls. You have a plan to use a child in a wheelchair as bait, and everybody is now in the crypts where there are dead bodies that are waiting to be risen from the dead from the Night King. That is literally his entire purpose is that. I am quite concerned for this strategy and this battle.
There has to be something to it, though, because Bran's the one who's like, this is what I want to do. So he has to have some idea that, like, this may work in some way.
But he even says when I think it was Arya asked him, like, well, dragon firework? He goes, I don't know. No one's ever tried.
Yeah.
No one's ever killed the Night King. In the thousands of years that this motherfucker's been around, no one's killed him. And the last people that ever probably fight him are long dead, and their stories are legends now.
Yeah. Like they built a gigantic ice wall to keep him the fuck away.
And on top of that, I believe the king that was promised / Azor Ahai is either... Guys, I always get this confused because there is Bran the Builder, right? You have Bran the Builder that built the wall, but I forget there's another character that was the one that basically fought back the Night King in the Age of Heroes. And Azor Ahai prophecy is mirrored off of what he did in the Age of Heroes. So the whole, like, the sword having to go through a lover and, like, an enemy. Like, there's certain, like, things you have to do in the prophecy, and that's why everyone thinks Jon is Azor Ahai, because his sword has, gone through lovers, has gone through certain things. Like, you can sort of see where it sort of pieces together. But I don't know where I went on that tangent for Night King, Bran, his plan. I think Bran has no idea what to do with the Night King. His idea is, look, he wants me. We need to separate him. I'll do it, and that's their best, idea. To be honest, I don't think Bran has a sense of the future. Like, even in the description of him, it's memory. Like, he is the memory. He is the past.
Yeah.
He is what has happened. He is not what is going to happen. He doesn't know that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they haven't really touched on if he can go into the future or see the future, But
because everything they've done, he's in the past.
I guess on the original Three-Eyed Raven, though, he mentioned being able to see into the future because he mentioned things like being able to see that Bran was coming and things like that. Like, Didn't he? Like he mentioned things that were happening that he's like, well,
But
this
that can
kind of like
happen.
things falling into place.
That can happen concurrently.
That's true too. Yeah.
Bran can see him through a God's wood and see Jamie all the way down by King's Landing, and he's like, "Okay, he's coming up. I know he's coming up. I'll just sit in the courtyard for a few days waiting for him. He'll get here eventually."
That's true. Yep. Yeah. So maybe he has no fucking clue, but it's like, hey, this is our best shot, guys. I know he's coming for me.
I think that's what it is. And I think we're going to set up for a lot of people dying in the next episode. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then obviously Torment ends with we're all going to die. Probably very accurate. Most of those people are probably not going to make it back after this after the next episode. Next scene though, Fu, unless you have, I forgot if you have any comments about the
No. Next scene's up on the wall with Sam and Ed and John and Ghost, motherfucker.
Ghost. We saw Ghost. He's there.
Yeah, that's all I want to say is Ghost is there.
Yep, we can move on.
Yep. And then this is like the scene where they first join around the hearth.
Well,
the next scene.
Well, let's not break up these scenes because I know they did it in the show, but let's not do that because there's no point. Let's cover the Arya and Gendry sex scene first, then the last meal or last drink with all the band of renegades who are all the outcasts of the show together, which I loved, by the way. And then let's cover obviously the John and Dany scene in the crypts. I think that's sort of how it played out, right?
I do kind of like just one thing to slip in. Oh my God. Arya with the Hound and Beric Dondarrion on top of the wall.
Yeah,
that was a cool little scene before she goes to do her thing.
Yo, she was definitely trying to get it with the Hound first, and then Beric came and totally ruined the fucking chill vibe. Like it was.
That's funny. It's funny.
I know a cock block when I see it, man.
The Hound cracked me up when he was like, the Lord of Light's gonna be real pissed if Thoros brought you back 19 times for me to throw you off this fucking wall if you keep talking about this stupid shit. I was like, this is so awesome. The Hound is great. Yeah,
those two guys are gonna die together. It's gonna be great.
Oh, it sucks.
So Arya, Gendry. The memes were great. Like that was the best part. I forget. Also, by the way, for those that don't know, if you're not a fan of this person's music, T-Pain is the best celebrity to follow on Game of Thrones when it's like live, because he will watch it live and tweet while he's watching it, and it is the funniest fucking things ever. Because he calls Bran like Wheelie Boy and just shit like that, and it's amazing. But somebody said, I don't think it was him. Somebody said, like it was like a tweet. It was like, Arya, so you been with anyone? And then Gendry goes, yeah, I had a wed woman put leeches on me and take my blood and try to kill me. And then it was like, Arya, oh, so you've been fucking other bitches then? And I died. Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. Arya testing his body count before she was feeling comfortable with having sex with him was the funniest interaction I've ever seen on Game of Thrones, and so true to life. I love it.
Yeah, so true to life. What do you think? What number do you think he could have said that she'd have been like, nah, man, I'm finding somebody else?
Like, if he said 0, I think she still would have done it. But if he said a number that was too high, I don't think, I agree. I don't think she would have done it. 15, 20.
Yeah. She'd have been like, man, there's got to be someone else in this fucking keep.
that doesn't
Where's Podrick?
That doesn't have the pox or something, probably.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. Like, I thought it was a cute scene. Like, it was, let's be honest, in Game of Thrones sex history, this was probably the most women empowerment sex scene we've had in the entire show. So salute to them for not having like a pure misogynistic, sexploitation viewpoint of a sex scene in Game of Thrones for once. And for those that feel like uncomfortable by watching Maisie Williams get semi-nude and have CGI over her nipples, we've seen people get raped on this show, guys.
It was super tasteful. I mean, it was fine.
We literally saw in the last episode a kid get hung up on a wall with body parts around him. And you guys are more upset about a 22-year-old having consensual sex where she's on top.
Let's be real. A bunch of guys were like, yo, she's attractive. is she over 18 years old? Because I don't want to feel like this. That's all it was. And as soon as everyone knew, they were like, yeah, we're cool. That's good.
Nah, there were some people that still were not cool with it. There's still a lot of people
That's so weird to me. Why?
You know,
Like if Bran was fucking mad bitches, would anyone care? They wouldn't be like, oh, is he old enough? Oh, I mean, like, there's this double standard there.
I don't think anyone
I
thinks
don't really dig it.
Brand's never gonna. Never mind. Let's not get into it.
Bran might be like getting down like fucking crazy.
Stop. In the middle of the courtyard where he never moves.
Yeah,
doubtful.
Who knows? What's under that robe?
Anyways, the last meal / last drink with all of part of like the show's darlings. Like if you really think about it, if you go through that list of people that are in that room, you have Pod, Tyrion, Davos, Jaime, Tormund, Brienne. Who else? Is that it?
Davos, Tormund, Jaime, Brienne, Pod. Is that it?
I think so.
That is it, I think. Yeah, because it's originally it's
Jaime and Tyrion at first, I believe.
Jaime and Tyrion, and then Brienne and Pod come in, and then Tormund and Davos come in. That's it.
Yes. But like all those characters are again like the show's fan favorites.
Yeah.
And it was just a cool scene. Like that was one of those. It reminds me of I mean, you can look at basically any war movie, but ones that do it right, like that last sort of before the battle talk where we're all sitting there drinking under the fire, whatever, and talking about whatever, singing a song. Saving Private Ryan does a really good job of it in that movie. Tom Hanks talks about like teaching. I think it was like teacher, and then somebody has like all the dirt, right? And they're talking about like all the dirt they collected from all the like. There's just it adds character to these people that already have a lot of character in the show. But to sort of set up a little better, we have Jaime, Tyrion in there, Brienne, Pod come in there. They all start drinking, or some of them start drinking. Tyrion gives Pod the full glass of wine instead of the half glass. And it's okay. You can go, Fu. I'll just talk. Okay. Just relax. Yeah. Nothing's going to happen. What else? And then we have Tormund and Davos come in. And Tormund and Jaime's interaction is by far one of the best interactions in the show's history. I really want to wait for Fu to get here so I don't like start talking about it and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, Tormund telling the story of why he is called Giantsbane as a dick measuring contest with Jaime because he's called Kingslayer and he mistakenly calls him King Killer. And he goes on to say like he killed the husband of a giant and then suckled at the tit of the wife of the giant for like, I don't know, 4 months or whatever.
Yeah, 3 months.
And he was like 10 years old, and that's how he grew to be so big. And then he takes what is probably milk or alcoholic milk, like eggnog-ish of some sort, right? And he just, in the most barbarian-like manner, drinks it out of a horn mug while he stares at Jaime and Brienne. And it is one of the most uncomfortable / funny scenes in Game of Thrones history. And I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then again, Jaime and Tormund just dick measuring was fantastic. That's all I needed.
Hilarious.
For them to fight over Brienne and Brienne to be so repulsed by it all. This was great.
And Davos, when he's like, yeah, actually, I think I will have that drink. Like, fuck me. I'm going to need a drink for this. You know, because he kind of knows. He's been around enough men. He's like, oh, man, there's shit's about to go down right here. These two guys are fighting over this woman. You know.
And then, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you want to go more about the dick measuring contest? I was going to talk about the knighting.
No, go ahead.
And then obviously later on, I forget how it's brought up, but basically Bran not being a knight. And Tormund saying, if I was a king, I would knight you over 10 times, right? And then Jaime says, you don't have to be a king. I should say not a knight, a king to knight someone. All you have to be is a knight. And so he tells Brienne to kneel, and Brienne, in an awesome display of the seasons and seasons of friendship they've built, looks to Pod first to get the okay from him. Like, it's okay. Like, these people are okay. Like, you're safe. Was awesome. Like, it was understated, but it was perfect.
Well, also Tormund was great there. Like I love like because he's from the free folk. It's like the women fight, the women do everything. Like and she's kind of like, well, here women can't be knights, and he's like, well, fuck that. Like what?
And on top of that, with I think Tormund being the guy that's like really oogly eyeing her all the time, like definitely seemingly like sexualizing her in a way, for him to, in the next scene, in a sense, immediately reaffirm, like, no, he values Brienne as a person, as a warrior, like, just the different respect he has for her. I loved it. And obviously we have Jaime knighting Brienne. Just a real emotional scene. Bran standing up to a standing ovation. Tyrion doing the, Bran of Tarth, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, where the title of the episode comes from, Don't you just love when they do that? Tormund is the one starting the clap too, and he looks just so happy. Like the scene was that's when I said like there was another scene later in the show that made me shed a tear. It was this scene. I mean, Brienne is. I was going to argue that Brienne's probably the heart of this show, if you think about it, because she's the truest character throughout it all. She's the most consistent. She's the most honorable. She's the best character. She's the most virtuous. She is the most romanticized version, yet she's a woman. She's been through all the shit, and she finally got her respect. And she is 100% dying in the next episode, and it's pissing me off because she got knighted. I think she's gonna die now. Like that's how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, her story arc is done, right? Yep. I mean, that's it, right? So, what is great is that she has been the most consistent throughout it all, with like Renly up till Catherine Stark, like Catelyn Stark, and holding every one of her. Every time she's made any type of given her word to someone, she's followed through with it. She saved Sansa. She saved Arya essentially, even though I guess the Hound wasn't really trying to do anything bad to her, but in her mind, she saved Arya, so she kind of followed through on some of that stuff. Yeah, it was a great moment. That was a great moment in the show. And then everyone just being so pleased that it happened the way it did. And also kind of the foretelling of what this world is going to become after all of this, right? Now we have a woman knight. Now there's a precedent for women knights. Like there's like things here that are bigger than maybe just the scene, in terms of like some of that old tradition and old guard is going away, as people are working it through. Yeah, they all are going to die. But yeah.
I mean, if everyone that saw that historic occasion is dead in the next episode, I don't think it's going to be hard for that old
Not everyone in that room is dying. There's no way.
We're going to talk about it later, but and then we have the scene that's obviously being referenced to Lord of the Rings with when Pip in Lord of the Rings sings to what's his name, Denethor or something like that. And Pod sings this really good song, really nice song. I think Lady Gaga or somebody did the actual rendition of it. No, it was Adele.
Florence and the Machine.
Florence and the Machines. Thank you. I knew it was a female singer of pop note. And I liked it. And then obviously it transitions right to the end of the song from all these, basically the last people or all the people in the episode we've seen. And then it ends with Jon and Dany in the crypt together, where Jon obviously reveals the information that he is Aegon Targaryen, the sixth of his name. That Sam and Bran are the ones that told him. Dany instantly questions the information, the credibility of the people that tell him this. And on top of that, it's pretty apparent that she is questioning Jon's John's allegiance to her power, to her crown, in a sense. And the scene ends with the horn being raised, and obviously the army of the dead's outside. Your thoughts on this scene, Fu?
This was a really good scene. I think
It was.
it was rushed a little bit because I think that's how it needed to be. Because what could she have said, or what could he have said without really? I mean, we're not far enough along yet for either of them to do anything with this information. You know,
I mean, I think the one thing that I don't like about this scene, and it's a very minor thing, but it's one thing that I don't like. It is the thing that I don't like. I feel like it's out of character of John. I feel like John, who's always been in the mindset like there's a bigger battle at stake here, like this doesn't matter. He would have said something to that effect, and he doesn't. And yes, the scene is rushed, but they don't need to rush it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the writers can set that horn off at any point in that dialogue. It doesn't matter. The watchers of the show don't care. You know what I mean? Like you technically don't have to do that. You can wait another 30 seconds, a minute, and have that little piece of the dialogue there where John goes, Danny, this doesn't matter. Like, there's a bigger fight here. Like, I don't care about the crown. Like, it's yours. Like, I don't want it. Like, that's what, to me, would be in character of John. John, the way he framed it is a little bit adversarial to Danny's sort of claim on the throne. Or at least it does come off that way.
I think a lot of people have been in his head. You know, people said, you know, Sam was like, "Do you think she would give up the crown for you?" And things like that. So when he's talking to her, he's thinking like,
you view it as John actually being legitimately questioning his allegiance to Danny. Like that is actually what is happening, and Danny has, in a sense, a right to be a little bit like concerned about that.
Or he's saying, "Yo, I'm just going to tell her this, and I'm going to see how she responds because I want to see if everyone else is right, that maybe she doesn't have as much allegiance to me as I think, you know, or maybe she wouldn't give me her crown." You know
what this sounds like? You know, like when you're dating someone and your friend tells you, like, "Hey, like the girl's like a bitch, right? Like she's awful to you, like blah blah." She talks behind your back. And then, like, the next week or two, like, you're testing your girl on, like, whether or not that's true or not, right? That's 100% what that sounded like to me, the way you described it. I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, yeah, but I think it's true.
It is true.
I think it's true. I think that's what he was doing. He was like, oh, man, are they right? Like, because in that moment, think about all the things that didn't happen that should have happened from her end. He figured out who his parents were. She could have been happy for him in that moment. Like, oh, shit, like, this whole time you've been living this life that, like, there's so many things that are fucked up for him because it's like his hero lied to him his whole life. His friends are saying, you should really be questioning this woman. Would she have done all these things for you? And then he's like, let me test her for a second.
John's an idiot.
You know? And
that's what I've come to with your assessment of it. I think you're probably right. That's why John frames the reveal that way, is because he is sort of testing Danny in some aspect. And I hate that. Like, John, you're better than that.
It's like, bro, you're about to fight the biggest battle of like human history. Just go out there, get the battle done, and then have this conversation.
You know, why? And the other thing is, like, John also knows, like, the dead are supposed to be here like any minute now. Does he really think that this is going to make the battle easier? Like, for John to be, in my opinion, one of the more selfless characters of the show, historically speaking.
But he's super naive. He has been the whole show.
Absolutely. No, you are right. This screams of being naive, but also just being selfish in a way. Like,
I don't know if it was selfish as much as like he can't keep that secret. Like he needs to get it out. Like, I really feel like that was the moment because he'd been ducking her the whole episode. And then it's like, all right, I got to get this over with.
If they had at any point actually stated, hey, that's your aunt, right? And also added that element to this revelation and talked about it, I would understand it more. But it just screams of, maybe I want to be king now. Like it just doesn't strike me as a consistent character move from a writing perspective, from a screenwriting perspective. But again, minor criticism. It's a very minor criticism I have because I still like the scene. I still love the show. I still love the episode. But if I was writing it, I would have wrote it different.
Well, here's something that happened too that was very like I didn't catch this. I don't know if you did, but listening to a different podcast, there was a question that came up, and it was a really good question. He calls her Danny. He says, "Danny, it's true." Like, remember when they were on, I think, the boat, and he called her Danny, and she said, "Only my brother calls me Danny." Sure. Or people that are higher stature than me, kind of thing. Something along those lines. I have to go back and really look at the line.
But he's been calling her Danny like the whole time. When they're together in private, he calls her Danny.
Okay, well maybe.
Like if you look back on the last episode, I'm pretty sure he calls her Danny.
You have to check, but this person made the point that like maybe he's now seeing himself in a different way.
I'll put it this way: that might be true, but him calling her Danny has absolutely zero to do with that.
Okay, yeah, I just thought that was a pretty cool little take on it, but you're probably right. He's probably called her Danny plenty of times on the show.
I'm pretty sure it's just a podcast talking out of his ass. Because I do a lot. I know what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, but they also missed, like, they were like, why is Theon and Sansa so emotional to see each other? It's like, because she fucking saved him from Ramsay Bolton. Like, you don't remember that part? Like, come on, man. Like, your show is solely based on this TV show, you know? Like, but another part that we didn't talk about that's just like to me was a good part is when Lyanna Mormont and Jorah were talking, and he was like,
we didn't talk about that scene, yes.
Yeah. And then Sam gives him horn, what is it? God damn it, horn, whatever. The fucking two-handed sword. What do they call it?
I understand, but whatever you're saying is not right. I don't think that's what
I can't remember what he calls it.
It doesn't matter.
But
nice.
I thought that was such a cool moment because Jorah did have, a Valyrian steel sword. His father gave it to someone else because he didn't think he was worthy of it. And at this point, Jorah's kind of earned it back, And also, Jorah's a fucking badass with a two-handed sword too, so it's going to be dope.
I also want to add that Lyanna sort of being nice to him was cool to see. Like that was Lyanna being nice, right? Calling him cousin, all that. That was nice because this is a guy that was sort of exiled from this, from Westeros, from exiled from his house. I think he was disowned. His father had to go take the black because of him. Like that's how bad of of a crime that he committed.
For slave trade, right?
Yeah,
slave trade,
I think it was slaving, and it was just cool. Like again, there's a lot of these two episodes, and most of last season has been about redemption. Has been about character redemption. Jaime, Jorah, Theon, Sansa in a way. Even people like Varys in some aspect, because Varys doesn't have a clean rap sheet. So I like that. Brienne in some aspect, Davos, a lot of these last, it's been 8 episodes, right? Because last season wasn't that long. Was it like 7 episodes, 8 episodes?
Yeah.
Last 9 episodes have been purely about let's redeem these characters. Let's get everyone back in the fields, and then we're going to kill them all.
We're going to kill fucking everybody.
And make everyone sad after we spent the whole season and a half making everyone happy that people were all redeemed and the best characters they've been yet, and then they're all going to die from zombies. Fuck yeah. But anyways, that's the end of the show because the Army of the Dead shows up, and I got to say, it looks like a lot of pure White Walkers, like the big
actual
daddies.
White Walkers, yeah.
Not just the zombies, actual White Walkers. When we were thinking about, where have they been doing with all these babies they've been turning? We found them.
Yeah.
They're on horseback, all having those fucking spears. They can take down fucking dragons. So, prediction time. Next episode, Battle of Winterfell. Who's dying? Who lives? All the fun stuff. I put a list out on Twitter. I don't have it up, but I put out a lot of people. I think everyone's dying. I think everyone but the major characters are going to die. Everyone that's in basically a combat role. Because I don't think the crypt thing is real. I think that's going to be a red herring. I think there's going to be way too much going on in the episode for that to be a thing, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I think it's more likely that somebody finds their way into the crypts.
Like zombies do.
Like a Braun or something. Like that's because Braun has now come this way and his only purpose is to kill Tyrion and Jaime. So there is a back way into the crypt. That's how they got out at one other point, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes. There's a way out.
Yeah. So I think that's more likely there than the dead.
Agreed. I think it's a red herring. I think it is. But I think everyone in combat roles dying. That's not a major character. Hound, Beric, Theon, Gendry, Davos, Grey Worm. I think one of the actual living dragons is going down, and I think which one goes down will be a foreshadowing of who dies, Jon or Dany. And if neither dragon goes down in the battle, I think that'll be a foreshadowing that both people are living. To be quite honest, I think that's how they're going to play it out. I think Jon and Dany are going to survive the battle, but one of their dragons will go down, and that means probably in the later episode, whoever's dragon went down, they will die from Cersei. I just think that's how it will mirror itself. There's clever writing there that a better writer than me could figure out how to connect those dots. Who else? I think of the major characters that could die, Arya could die. Absolutely. I think that is a possibility. They've set it up. And plus, sort of, again, what else can she do?
Well, so what do you think about this? Someone mentioned that the prophecy says like a little brother will kill you.
Hound's dying. I think a lot.
I don't think so.
Hound's dying.
But he's still got to square off with the mountain, man.
Never happens.
Yeah. You think Arya gets to kill the mountain? I
think, again, sort of like the dragon, like whoever doesn't die from one of those two, because I think one of them will die, but not both of them. The Hound and Arya, whoever's left kills Cersei and probably the mountain.
So someone had just like a fan thing, like a what if this would be so cool, right?
Brienne's also dying, and Jaime's a distinct possibility. I think he dies, but I'm still a little bit like there's a 30% possibility he still lives. But
I think he still has a purpose.
Pod's dying.
Pod is dying, bro, for sure.
He's literally been a red shirt for 8 seasons, guys. He's had a red shirt on for 8 seasons. He's gonna die.
Yeah. So someone said like the prophecy, right, says a little brother will kill you.
Yes.
And someone was like, what if Jaime or Tyrion dies and she takes their face and goes to King's Landing and kills Cersei with it? I'm like, yeah, that's a dope ass way to fill that prophecy out.
Yeah.
You know? So I think Tyrion will live. Oh, so
I think the non-combat characters like Varys, Tyrion, Gilly, and Little Sam, like those characters, Sansa, like those characters are surviving. Like, I just don't see. Oh man, what if they did Sansa like Catelyn?
Oh, I hope not.
Hey, look, if they really wanted to fuck with us,
what if Dany turns on him and she gets someone to kill her?
No. If they really wanted to fuck with us, the crypt isn't a red herring. It is legit. Those dead will rise, and all those innocent people are fucked who don't have weapons.
Damn.
Like
that's
Gilly, Little Sam, like Tyrion, Varys, like all those characters that we love, boom, gone.
Samwell's gonna be down there too.
Sam, like I could easily see them doing that, and that be this big dramatic moment where like, holy shit, there's dead inside the walls coming out of the crypts, and everyone's gone in there. And you have fucking zombie Sam coming after Jon. I'm just saying, I could see
That'd be crazy. I'm with you on Jaime being a big possibility, but I still think his role is going to be to kill Cersei at some point. Theon's done. Theon is definitely dead.
Yeah, and he's gonna have a really good showdown with the Night King.
Yeah, Davos is definitely dead.
Yeah.
Pod is definitely dead. Tormund is dead.
Or Tormund is like one of the few that lives throughout it all.
which would be cool with me. It's one of my favorites.
Because look, there are the free folk who are so like kind of there in a sense, and he's really in essence the only personification of them in the show. It would make sense they keep him around, but I don't. I just think they kill him.
I am betting on the Hound living because I think they've built up the Hound and the Mountain thing enough that we need that showdown.
Never happens.
I need that showdown.
I need it.
Come on, let's have that. Arya definitely lives. I feel like
it's too fan service.
But yeah, I think everyone else is fucked.
Yep.
I mean, does Bran even live? Good
Bran
Lord.
lives.
I mean, I know he's got to live, but how does he live?
Bran
lives.
I think Jon saves him.
Swoops down on the dragon.
Yes. I don't know if Night King is going down in this episode because again, we do know that one of these battles is over. It's over 2 episodes. Like it's episode and a half is one battle. So I think that Night King is going down in the Battle of Winterfell, but maybe like part 2, where like next week in the first half of that episode, Night King goes down, and the last half of the episode is them sort of the epilogue of the battle and setting up for whatever is happening with Cersei in the last 2 episodes. I think that's sort of how it's going to happen. Night King is not going to survive Battle of Winterfell. He's going down. Army of the Dead's dying. There's no way. I also want to add, I would say Dothraki and Unsullied gone.
Gone.
I could
Fucking
see that.
Grey Worm gone.
I could see maybe remnants of them surviving, but they're all out in the open. Like that's like the stupidest fucking thing in my mind. God.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that either when they were doing that. I was like, dude, you have a castle. You're supposed to stay inside of the fucking castle. Like, but who do you think will kill the Night King?
Jon.
Jon?
Yeah.
You don't think that Arya's like badass spear she just had made she's like setting herself up to be the one?
No. Like, yes, Game of Thrones subverts the classic tropes of fantasy, but Jon is Azor Ahai. Like, that is clear as day. This is still fantasy. He's going to fight the Night King and kill him. I think that's
going to be so dope.
And I think it's going to be next to the God's Wood, next to Bran. After Theon dies, that will be a battle. Because they even showed a clip of Jon in the garden. Like you can see Jon with the God's Wood behind him. You can see it with fire around him. I'm telling you, he's taking out the Night King right there.
That's going to be awesome.
But yeah, that's our predictions for next episode. So, Fu, predictions for Avengers now. You ready?
Oh, shit.
Again, a lot of characters are dying. I have been trying to stay away from all reviews. Some people I know, like over at Collider.com, they've already seen it at the premiere, so I've had to like mute people I know because they've already seen it. It pisses me off. Everyone's saying it's good. Everyone's saying it's great. Everyone's saying that it either matches or exceeds Infinity War, so I cannot wait to see it. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I think Captain America and Iron Man are toast. Thor is a possibility. I think we're gonna see maybe even some minor characters go, like maybe Mantis, certain things like that. But yeah, it's gonna be heartbreaking. People are dying all over the place. I'm not okay with it.
I'm just saying, if the Avengers were like Frank Warren fighters, they better sign that renewal contract before the big fight, or they might get fucked. I mean, I think you're right. Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, most likely. I think they'll probably roll on with Thor with Jane Frost or whatever, right?
There is that scene in the trailer. And again, trailers and Avengers and Marvel have been really good at literally putting fake footage in trailers, where you can clearly tell it's Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man walk into Thanos. And it's those three. It's only those three. I think that's pretty telling. That our 3 main heroes. Think about it, they were the 3 people that got solo movies in phase 1. You had Captain America with First Avenger, you had Thor, and you had Iron Man 1 and 2. And then you had Avengers. You didn't have Ant-Man yet. You didn't have Black Panther yet. You didn't have Guardians yet. Those were the three. They are literally the foundation which all of Marvel studios rest on. It's those three guys. I think they kill them off. I think they get ballsy.
I think so too. I think there's good precedent for it in terms of like Bucky becoming Captain America, in terms of, Jane Frost, right? Jane something becoming the female Thor.
They're not going to do that though.
You don't think they'll do that?
No. I would assume maybe Valkyrie comes in. Emma. What's her name? Not Emma Thompson. Fuck, what's her name? From Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Fuck. But really cute. What's her name? Really good actor. Shit. Anyways, I can see her taking the mantle.
Okay.
Or them just new characters. Like, hey, we don't need a new Thor. We still have a literal vast catalog of characters we can tap into. Now they have mutants and X-Men and Fantastic Four. Like, they don't need a Thor in a sense. They could, in theory, not have to worry about a Thor property or movie forever.
Also, Disney Plus is coming, and we're going to get a lot of TV series. We're going to get a lot of mini series or couple season shows of probably some different casted Thor and Hulk and different things. I'm sure they're going to come with Marvel on Disney Plus.
I mean, it would be nice if you read articles every now and then. Because they've already announced what Marvel shows they're going to be on Disney Plus, and it's not new characters. It is Hawkeye. It is Wanda and
No, yeah, I know those are already coming.
Yeah.
But I'm saying down the road, there's still plenty of stuff for them to do.
Well, when you're talking about new actors, you're talking about rebooting. Like, they're pretty clear that the actors on the Marvel TV shows going forward will be the actors in the movies.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, for DC, they have a Flash show, but that's not Ezra Miller. That's whatever his name
I
is.
think Marvel's smarter to go that route anyways.
Absolutely.
Because I hated that they didn't, take the guy who played the Flash
the
from
Arrowverse,
TV
basically, and adapt it to the cinematic universe. I agree.
Yeah.
But Fu, that's basically it today. I don't have much to talk about. I'm tired. It's already 9:30. I have more stuff to edit.
Yeah.
That's been our Trending Now episode. Game of Thrones, Avengers. I will do probably a show maybe next week. Never mind. I was gonna say I'll do an extra show this week and talk about Avengers when I see it. Maybe. I don't know. I'll probably be busy. Let's be honest.
I'm gonna try to see it Saturday or Sunday so that maybe we can do a show on it. But
yeah, but
I can't guarantee that, bro.
Yeah, but it'll still be next week. Like, the show will still, whenever we do the show, just because of scheduling, I know when we have to do show. Like, tomorrow we have a show that's boxing. Like, it's gonna be a boxing news show. Like, I just looking ahead. Trending Now is gonna be until next week. But anyways, you know where to find me, guys. Go check out the Eddie Hearn interview. It was fun, and obviously shout out to all of our Patreon members. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Fu.
Yeah, you guys know where to find me too. Fugatti MCR. Get on that video, guys, and help us share it. Like, get us a lot of views on that. This is definitely one of the first things we've been able to do with the money that you guys have been helping with, and a lot of work goes into this. Matt's been there all day. Matt's going again Friday. So we want to use this to really push, forward to some better things and more press, credentials and stuff. So thank you guys for everything. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Peace.